and welcome to Ruben Uncut. Today, the calm melodic tones of my voice will be used to make fun of Jordan Peterson because it's that time again. Time to check in on Jordan Peterson. I saw the first few seconds recently of a video by Jordan Peterson, a music video of all things, titled The Postmodernist Drinking Song. I caught it as part of a segment on Sam Cedar. And after a few seconds, I was like, you know what? I've got to react to this myself because this looks wild. So here we are to do that. Take a look here. Take a gander at the strangeness that is Jordan Peterson. What is this man up to? And is he okay? The answer to those questions are not sure yet, and probably not. Let's get right down to it, shall we? For those of you unfamiliar with Jordan Peterson is a self-help guru slash currently, I think, unaccredited psychologist and professor from Canada who got famous for complaining about laws that expanded the protection of various classes in Canada to include the misgendering of trans people. Now, currently, no one has actually been arrested based on these laws, but Jordan Peterson is convinced it's going to happen and that it's why it's a thing. Jordan Peterson nowadays, however, seems to be mostly just hanging out with the Daily Wire and going through some type of mental breakdown, whether that mental breakdown is due to his years of barbiturate abuse, being a recovering alcoholic, his clear repression of his very feminine self. Hard to say. But he's not doing okay, or at least he wasn't last time I saw him. And from the very little I've seen of this music video, I think it's safe to say that he is not doing well now. It's quite interesting to see a person who got famous for telling people how to improve their lives slowly spiral out. Let's take a gander, shall we? It's about 4 minutes and 53 seconds. Not very long for a video, but a little on the long side for a music video. The Postmodernist Drinking Song. Interesting. All right, as you can see, he has not cleaned his room, but maybe that's the point. I get the feeling that this character is not really meant to be Jordan Peterson. Employed. I assume this is meant to be like the average unhappy man. Okay, let's see what's okay. Some kind of South Park animation going on here.
For the love of God, man, I want to be a resentful taco delivery boy. There's a real hell on earth. You know, I had a guy come up to me.
We'll drink and drink and drink till there's no more drink.
Okay, wait, what does this thing here say? The song there, CDC study, drink, don't think. Okay, CDC's never said that, but maybe that's the gag. The tune they're playing here is a, I forget if it's British or Irish, but it's a classic drinking song called Lily the Pink. A woman who invented medicinal compound, most advantageous in every way.
Save your love, the known universe, from philosophical notions.
You've left yourself an absolute mess.
Michel Foucault was a genuine pervert, and it made him awful sad. He invented philosophical doctrines designed to drive us all quite mad.
I don't know enough about Foucault. I'll be honest, I haven't read Foucault. I'm not particularly interested in Foucault. if he is a French postmodernist, then the part about him being a pervert is probably true. And not just because he's French, but because if he's a postmodernist, and I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell Foucault stands for. But considering people bring up Marxism with postmodernism all the time, you can't trust them to necessarily understand what postmodernism is or who's connected to it, because Marx was a modernist.
Critical racists now annoy us.
Critical racists now annoy us. Okay, so are you okay? I feel like they're implying the critical race theory people are racists. Maybe. I don't know. Go back a second. And of course, we got screaming green-haired liberal over here. Although, judging by is that a wig? The hair doesn't look quite right. This might be a person in a wig doing a bit. I'm not sure.
They accuse and satirize, multiply.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to satirize. This video is an attempt from the look at this video. This video is also an attempt to satirize. So I don't know if they just put the word satirize in there because it fit the rhythm right, or if they actually have a problem with satire, because that would be ironic because the video is satirical.
All around us, it's time we cut them down.
That just had Dave Ruben in there for no reason. It looked like he was singing along. There's a collab. Okay, this is getting very interesting language. We're gonna go back a second. Murray bugger off then. Okay. Just so everyone knows, bugger means butt fuck. That's where it comes from.
Them down to size.
Cut them down to size. Interesting.
Drink and drink till there's no one can think like this. The saviors of the known universe. How they invented philosophical notions, deconstructed in every way.
So, like, this is pretty wild so far. He's really getting onto Foucault. Of course, he's going to ignore other people who did very postmodernist things. George Orwell was not a postmodernist, but Animal Farm has a lot in common with postmodernism. It's not completely postmodern, though. Deconstructive is interesting language here, considering deconstructionism is a philosophical concept that is not technically postmodernism, but could be seen as being connected to it. It's also interesting use because, unironically, Jordan Peterson will often answer questions by deconstructing them to the point of them becoming incoherent. No, that's not the Socrates method, just so you're aware.
Shot to Rita without a joker. Struck a poker in our eyes. Tried to challenge ancient wisdom.
Okay, so ancient wisdom is a dog whistle to nothing. I don't know what people think they're talking about when they talk about ancient wisdom. Here's a reality for you, okay? The ancients, unless there was some lost civilization that we don't know about right now, the ancients didn't live as long as us, weren't as smart as us, didn't know as much about the universe as us, frequently did weird shit like incest and raping and pillaging and constant war and ethnic cleansings and genocides. Now you can say we still do a lot of this stuff now, but the ancients did this stuff more. The Vikings did this stuff more. The British and Roman empires did this stuff more in the ancient times. Okay, if any ancient wisdoms were lost, they were lost during the Dark Ages, which itself is ancient to us. Now, it's more than likely what he says when he means ancient wisdom here, though, is that he's referring to religious doctrines, which, if which in reality have changed and shifted throughout history. A major misconception, especially among Christians, is that all versions of the Bible are the same. And that's just not true at all. Look into translation differences between Hebrew, Greek, English, different versions of the Bible. You will find that that is not true. The wordings and meanings of the Bible have been altered throughout time. And we know this because we have more than one version of the Bible today because of translations. The allusion to ancient wisdom, my point is just a dog whistle to say, hey, why don't we like religion anymore? I'm not saying you shouldn't like religion. I'm not saying you have to dislike religion. I'm just saying that's what they're dog whistling. All he did was demonize. All right, let's take it back.
Ancient wisdom, all he did was demonize.
Okay, wait. So they got him jumping on what I assume is the face of God until he's pounded into a cloud, and then he does snow angels on God's face.
How did he see
These are just writers. The only thing I know about that Ta-Nehisi guy is that he wrote Black Panther recently. Oh wait, is that the guy who based is that the guy who based the Captain America villain on Jordan Peterson? I think that might be the guy who based the Captain America villain on Jordan Peterson. Of course, Jordan Peterson thinks that's pretentious. Like, okay, so like all he's doing is name dropping a bunch of people who I've never read. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't even read that Black Panther comic. I know I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. It's oh my god. Let's go back. I'm still telling you, I think this is made up. Who is that? Is that not Steve? No, Steven Crowder wouldn't work with the Daily Wire. Hold on. I'm not going to get into the songwriting because I'm not a songwriting expert. Oh yeah, this is just culture war stuff. Like they're just attacking philosophies that no one gives a shit about. Like that's the thing. Like Jordan Peterson thinks he's an intellectual, and he's gonna name drop all these intellectual things, but like at the end of the day, like he hasn't really made any real arguments here. This is just gibbledy gobbledy.
Richard.
Why has it got it? It's a puppet doing a puppet. Very postmodern video you got here, Jordan.
Rorty.
Richard Gordo!
Is truly not helpful.
Is truly not helpful.
Okay, hold on. I can't deal with this. Who the fuck is Richard Rorty? American philosopher and educator. Richard Rorty and a philosopher. Okay, let's go. Okay. Richard McKay Rorty, October 4th, 1931, June 8th, 2007, was an American philosopher educated at the University of Chicago and Yale University. He had strong interest in training both in the history of philosophy and in contemporary analytical philosophy. No one cares, Jordan. No one cares. Do you really think that the average person has Rorty going around in their heads? Rorty rejected the long-held idea that correct internal representations of objects in the outside world is a necessary prerequisite for knowledge. Rorty argued instead that knowledge is an internal and linguistic affair. knowledge relates only to our own language. Rorty argues that language is made up of vocabularies that are temporary and historical, and concludes that since vocabularies are made by human beings, so are truths. The acceptance in the preceding arguments led with Rorty calls ironism, a state of mind where people are completely aware of their knowledge is dependent on their time and place in history and are therefore somewhat detached from their own beliefs. However, Rorty also argues a belief can still regulate action, can still be thought worth dying for among people who are quite aware that this belief is caused by nothing deeper than a contingent historical circumstance. I mean, he's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely wrong. I guess what philosophy and the mirror of nature. I guess what he's saying, like, I understand. Is he just mad at Rorty because Rorty is he just mad at Rorty because apparently Rorty rejects Rorty is among the most widely discussed and controversial contemporary philosophers, and his work have provoked thoughtful responses from many other well-respected figures in the field. In Robert Brandam's anthology, Rorty and His Critics, for example, Rorty's philosophies are discussed by Donald Davidson, Jorgen Habermas, Hilary Putnam, John McDowell, Jacques Bouverie, Daniel Dennett, among other things. In 2007, Roger Scruton wrote, Rorty was paramount among those thinkers who advance their own opinion as immune to criticism by pretending that it is not truth to be consensus. It is not truth, but consensus that counts, while defining the consensus in terms of people like themselves. Okay, interesting. Ralph Maven Tumaub concludes that Rorty was influenced by Jean-Francis Lyotard's meta-narratives and added that postmodernism was influenced further by the works of Rorty. Okay, I can see the postmodernism in this. It's not totally off base. McDowell is strongly influenced by Rorty, particularly philosophy and mirror of nature, and continental philosophy author such as Jürgen Habermas, names, are influenced in different ways by Rorty's thinking. American novelist David Foster Wallace titled a short story in his collection Oblivion Stories, Philosophy and the Mirror of Nature, and critics have identified Rorty's influence on Wallace's writing on irony. Susan Hack has been a fierce critic of Rorty's neo-pragmatism. Hack criticizes Rorty's claim to be a pragmatist at all and wrote a short play called We Pragmatists, where Rorty and Charles Sanders Peirce have fictional conversations using only accurate quotes from their own writing. For Hack, the only link between Rorty's neo-pragmatism and Peirce's pragmatism is the name. Hack believes Rorty's neo-pragmatism is anti-philosophical and anti-intellectual, exposes people further to rhetorical manipulation. Although Rorty was avowed liberal, his political and moral philosophies have been attacked by commentators from the left, some of whom believe them to be insufficient frameworks for social justice. Rorty was also criticized for his rejection of the idea that science can depict the world. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's a little bit further out there, Rorty. Oh no, Rorty, that's not good. Okay, so this guy is out there. His thing about history is not completely wrong. His rejection of science, that's out there. Let's continue this nonsense.
With his assurance, nothing's real.
Call me pig.
That's not actually what that's from what we read, that was not actually what he said. That's not what that means, that nothing is real. That's okay. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Maybe I mean, I gave it only a cursory read, but from the basis of the basic of his philosophy is not that nothing is real. It's that our understanding of knowledge is based on our understanding of historical language and context. That's not the same as saying nothing's real. Maybe he wrote something else about that, and Jordan Peterson is just going for those deep cuts because he doesn't give a shit if anyone knows what he's talking about. And actually, that might even help Jordan Peterson to confuse people if they don't know what he's talking about.
What
Did you see the communism on the side of the food thing? Interesting.
of hunger?
What?
Okay, taking a turn. What of hunger, Jordan? What are we doing here? This is we're gonna get materialist in a postmodernist video? That wouldn't make sense.
Mr. Skeptic.
I don't remember this part of Lily the Pink, by the way. I don't maybe it's not a good sexist what? Oh, sexist pig. Mr. Skeptic. Okay.
When a child lacks a meal.
Okay, we're getting into some. Okay, it sounds like we're making a materialist argument, which would be more like Marx. Genuinely don't know where they're going with this. Wait, what? Andre Dworkin wants a hooker? Okay, Andre Dworkin. Okay, it's a woman. Rita Dworkin, she died in 2005, was an American radical feminist writer and activist, best known for her analysis of pornography. Her feminist writings, beginning in 1974, span 30 years. They are found in dozens of solo works, 9 books of nonfiction, 2 novels, a collection of short stories, blah, 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 blah. Central objective of Dworkin's work is analyzing Western society, culture, and politics through the prism of men's sexual violence against women. In a patriarchal context, she wrote in a wide range of topics, including the lives of Joan of Arc, Margaret. Okay, she analyzed the literature of Charlotte Bronte, Jean Reyes, Leo Tolstoy. Okay, she brought her own radical feminist perspective to her examination of subjects historically written or described from a man's point of view. Okay, that's typical feminist reading, including fairy tales, homosexuality, lesbianism, virginity, anti-Semitism, the state of Israel, the Holocaust, biological superiority, and racism. She integrated premises underlying concepts such as freedom of the press and civil liberties. She theorized the sexual politics of intelligence, fear, courage, and integrity. She described the male supremacist political ideology manifesting in and constituted by rape, battery, prostitution, and pornography. It sounds like she's not sounds like she's not pro prostitution. Okay, we gotta find out what they're talking about. Andre Dworkin was born September 26th, 1946 in Camden, New Jersey, to Harry Dworkin and Sylvia Spiegel. Okay, so she's Jewish. Her father was the grandson of a Russian Jew. Still sounds weird when you say it that way, who fled Russia when he was 15 years old in order to escape military service. Her mother was a child of Jewish immigrants from Hungary. She had one younger brother, Mark. Her father was a school teacher and dedicated socialist. Whom she credited with inspiring her passion for social justice. Her relationship with her mother was strained, and Dworkin later wrote that her mother's belief in legal birth control and abortion long before those respectable beliefs inspired her activism. Okay. So though she describes her Jewish household as being in many ways dominated by the memory of the Holocaust, it nonetheless provided a happy childhood. She reached the age of 9 when an unknown man molested her in a movie theater. When Dworkin was 10, her family moved from the city to suburbs of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, then known as Delaware Township. which she later wrote she experienced as being kidnapped by aliens and taken to a penal colony. In 6th grade, the administration at her new school punished her for refusing to sing Silent Night. As a Jew, which still sounds weird when you read it out loud, the use of the word Jew is interesting because it is the only word that becomes a slur if you put the right inflection on it. No, wait, no, you can do that. You can probably do it with other races and ethnicities. Jewish is not technically a race, even though the Nazis said it was. But Nazis, they suck. She said she probably would become a rabbi if women could have while she was in high school, and would have liked being a Talmudic scholar. Dworkin began writing poetry and fiction in the 6th grade around the time she was undecided as to whether to become a lawyer or a writer. Because of her interest in abortion, chose writing. Okay, so far we haven't seen anything about being a prostitute. Throughout high school, she read vividly, engagement. Okay, she graduated in 1964. College and activism in 1965. While a freshman in Bennington College, Dworkin was arrested during an anti-Vietnam war protest. The United States mission to the United Nations and sent to the New York Women's House of Detention, known for housing renowned leftist women. After writing the commissioner of her corrections, Anna Cross, Dworkin testified that the doctor in the House of Detentions gave her internal examination, which was so rough that she bled for days afterwards. She spoke in public and testified before a grand jury about her experience. Media coverage of her testimony made national and international news. The grand jury declined to make an indictment in the case, but Dworkin's testimony contributed to public outrage over the mistreatment of inmates. Soon after testifying, grand jury Bennington agrees to live in Greece and pursue her writing. She traveled to Paris. She wrote a series of poems titled Vietnam Variations, collection of poems and prose poems that she printed on the island in a book called Child, and a novel in the style resembling magical realism called Notes on Burning Boyfriend, a reference to Norman Morrison, a pacifist who had burned himself to death in protest of the Vietnam War. Okay, I wonder, it sounds like she may have dated him. She also wrote several poems and dialogues, which she hand printed after the United States. These are in the book Morning Hair. Okay. Life in the Netherlands. Okay, maybe this is where it comes up. After graduation, Dworkin moved to Amsterdam to interview Dutch anarchists in the Provo movement, which used theatrical street happenings to instigate change. While there, she became involved with one of the anarchists, Cornelius Iwan Dirk de Bruin, and they married. Soon after, she says that de Bruin began to abuse her severely, punching and kicking her, burning her with cigarettes, beating her on her legs with a wooden beam, and banging her head against the floor until he knocked her unconscious. After she left de Bruin, late 1971, Dworkin said her ex-husband attacked, persecuted, and harassed her, beating her and threatening her whenever he found where she was hiding. She found herself desperate for money and often homeless, thousands of miles from her family. Later remarked, I often lived the life of a fugitive, except that it was more desperate life of a battered woman who had run away for the last time, whatever the outcome. Due to poverty, okay, here we go. Dworkin turned to prostitution for a period. Ricky Abrams, a feminist and fellow expatriate, sheltered Dworkin in her home and helped her find places to stay on houseboats and communal farms. Okay, all right. So the amount of context missing from the statement that she was a prostitute is pretty profound, actually. Like, to bring up once a hooker when what was really happening was this is a woman on the run selling her body just to survive. Like, the way it's used here is an ad hominem attack. It's meant to make us question the validity of any of their beliefs or opinions. But the reality is that they were a prostitution under extremely severe circumstances when the possibility of people choosing to do extreme things is very high. But of course, and these things are also not really relevant to a majority of her writing, which she did beforehand. Although it looks like she probably had more writing after this, but it looks like that she made a good amount of writing before the part where she was forced to be a hooker came in. This is just an ad hominem attack here. I know I should have Googled Foucault. I'm still not going to.
What's the hunger celebrated as a stage? Who proclaimed that sex was raping?
Oh, I wonder if she's that lady who said all sex is rape. Now, to be fair, I don't agree with that philosophically, but I don't agree with that philosophically. But like from the little bit we read of her life, one might understand how she got to that point. I honestly don't know if that's true. I literally just read about this person for the first time, and I'm college educated. I don't remember taking any classes where this came up. I studied feminist playwriting at one point, and I don't remember this coming up. I mean, it's possible that I've just forgotten it. College was a long time ago, Sonny. A long time ago. I'll be honest here. I've never heard anyone say anything nice about D'Angelo Robin. And that includes leftists. I haven't heard any leftists say anything nice about her. A lot of people on the left seem to think that she is just a race grifter taking advantage of the situation. She does seem to be a white woman talking a lot about things she hasn't actually experienced. So what is this? So, okay, so there's this constant coming back to the concept of putting people in their place. And that raises a lot of questions of, I'm really beginning to see like a kind of a construct of like the way that Jordan Peterson sees the world. It seems like he went to college and he read a bunch of stuff and he's like, I don't like what these people are saying. And he held on to not liking what these people are saying for like ever. You don't see me making a bunch of videos about my problems with Samuel Beckett. Why? Because I moved on. Although I might make a video about how Nietzsche was an asshole. What the? Taking a turn. Nope, it's right back. It sounds like it's taking a turn a couple times, but then it goes right back into it. Wait, what? What is it? What? He just put a garrote in his backpack? What the fuck? Fiery but peaceful gathering downtown. This is a distortion. Media typically only really covers the protests that go badly. And that's just a fact. When actually looked into, 95% of Black Lives Matter protests were nonviolent and did not escalate into a riot. This is a talking point made to make philosophical stand differences look dangerous. What? That's... What? 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 Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. So what? Okay, so what's happening there at the end? So I have two possible reads for what's happening there at the end. So he gets all dressed up, and like the question is he going? There's two things that are happening. Either he's going to murder these people that the television has been telling him are bad. Like, that's literally the whole video. The whole video is the TV slagging on a bunch of philosophers that Jordan Peterson doesn't like and who he thinks have a crippling amount of influence on our society. Although, to be fair, D'Angelo Robbins isn't a philosopher. She's a woman who goes and does like sensitivity trainings at corporations, and takes their money, which I can't hold against anyone who's going and taking corporations' money over stupid bullshit. Which isn't to say that I'm against diversity. Diversity training, I actually think, is very important. If you worked in sales, you'd believe that, by the way. In sales, okay, so when I sold insurance, we actually had this, we're selling it to old people. So they made us go through this training thing to basically make us more empathetic to old people. We had to wear glasses that like showed us how different visual defects worked, like cataracts and stuff. We had to wear gloves that made it so it was more like we had arthritic hands. We had to do all this weird stuff so that we would be more empathetic to old people that we were selling insurance to. There's nothing unusual about the concept of diversity training, just that some people hate it. But right, where was I? So the two possible meanings of this ending is either that he's been successfully brainwashed by society, which would be interesting because we didn't actually see the influences of that society. What we saw was a video where puppet Jordan Peterson explains to his puppet why these various philosophers were bad, and used essentially a lot of ad hominem attacks. Like, Foucault probably was a pervert. A lot of French postmodernists really were anti-age of consent. And whether that's because of them that France has no age of consent laws or someone else, who knows? The French are perverts. But the point is that you can have this part of you that's fucked up and terrible, but you might still know something. Like, we made a whole show about this in the US called House, where this guy was really good at being a doctor, but he was a total piece of shit. And like, but everyone let it go because he was so goddamn good at doctoring, even though he was absolute garbage human being. But like, honestly, that philosophy has probably influenced America a little bit too much. If you're good at what you can do, you can be an asshole to everyone. Like, that's not good philosophy. That's not a good deal. But my point is that being an asshole or a piece of shit or a pervert, or having at one point been forced into being a prostitute due to incredibly complex and dire situations, is these are not real arguments. These are ad hominem attacks. Like, it's not an ad hominem to be like, hey man, fuck you, you're a whore. That's not technically an ad hominem. To say, by the way, the fact that you are a whore undermines your philosophical principles, even though they are not related. That makes you wrong. Because being a whore doesn't undermine your philosophical principles. You're wrong in philosophy because you were a prostitute. That doesn't actually translate. That doesn't translate at all. And saying someone is a pervert doesn't translate to them being philosophically wrong either. These are ad hominem attacks. I'm not saying Foucault is right. I'm not a postmodernist. I'm genuinely not. I am, for the most part, materialist. We have to improve the material conditions of human beings. That's what it comes down to. It's weird that my beard looks greenish because it's actually reddish in real life. But I'm noticing that. Weird. I don't know. It must have something to do with the green screen behind me. Not sure. By the way, this finally get to wear green on camera because apparently this green is different enough from the green behind me. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Where was I? Right. So the two options are is that he's getting ready to go out and join the riots because he's been brainwashed by society, or he's going out to murder D'Angelo Robin with a garrote, which would make a lot more sense because a garrote is literally the last weapon I would bring to a riot. That's not rioting weaponry, okay? That's assassination weaponry. I don't know if Jordan Peterson thinks far enough ahead to think about that. But the two options are he's going out to join a protest, or he's going out to murder people like Robin DiAngelo. And out of those people mentioned, that I think Robin DiAngelo is the only one alive. And the thing is, it's a lot easier for me to believe that he's going out to murder Robin DiAngelo. And the reason for that is because we haven't seen him being influenced by society. You see, the music video wants to be satirical, but it's bad at it. It's bad at being satirical. Because it's just saying the thing it wants you to know. It's not showing us the thing it wants you to know. It's saying it. We're going to make a funny song about a puppet, regardless of the ironies that might imply, where Jordan Peterson is going to slag off a bunch of different philosophers and for some reason, Robin DiAngelo. He's not going to make any pointed points about anything. And yeah, no, that was the video. Deeply concerning ending there. Either they don't know how to convey a message properly, or he's going to kill Robin DiAngelo. And I've said that multiple times now. I should move on. Right. So, I'm going to be sincere here. Jordan Peterson, are you okay? I don't think you're okay. Like, maybe calm down. The fact that you are probably the only person who actually knows any of those names you said. Get out, Jordan Peterson. Touch some grass. Find out what maybe you missed during that medically induced coma. I really got to wonder about that. What surprised you most when you came out of your medically induced coma, Jordan? Also, does it make you feel weird spouting all these things about like self-control and self-discipline, but in order for you to get off of barbiturates, you had to be put into a medically induced coma? Not a very manly choice. Honestly, I would love to talk to Jordan Peterson. And if I were to talk to Jordan Peterson, the first thing I would ask him is just simply this. Are you okay? Like, emotionally. Because you don't seem okay. And I don't know about you. I mean, I understand that often psychologists and therapists and psychiatrists get into those professions to help the people because they cannot help themselves. Is that what you did, Jordan? Is that what this is about? The fact that you could never help yourself? Also, eat some goddamn vegetables, sir. The carnivore diet is for people with extremely severe immunocompromised systems. It's not intended for everybody else, because everybody else runs a severe risk of being malnourished and getting things like fucking scurvy. So please, Jordan Peterson, get some help. All right, thank you for watching or listening to this episode of Ruben Uncut. Please follow on Spotify or like and subscribe wherever you're on, whatever listening platform you're listening on. Please also consider going over to the YouTube channel, unless you're watching this on the YouTube channel, then you can stay right here and like and subscribe, maybe comment or share a video or two. If you want to contact me, you can, of course, harass me on YouTube, or you can email the show at rubenuncut@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, whatever time of day it is, wherever the hell you are.